Welcome to our very first podcast, From Island Dreams to Real Estate Success. We're thrilled to have you join us as we pull back the curtain on our real estate journey, the wins, the lessons, and yes, even the failures. Because let's face it, real estate isn't about buying and selling. It's a roller coaster of deals, strategies, and creative plays that make this industry so exciting.
Our adventure began 20 years ago in Jamaica, where we built a diverse portfolio of multifamily complexes, short-term rentals, mid-term stays, a 20-room boutique hotel on the north coast of Jamaica. Fast forward to 2023, and our game changed when we joined Pace Morby's Sub-2 and Gator community, expanding our knowledge, network, and investment reach like never before. We're also members of Owners Club, an elite group of high-level business owners and real estate investors within Sub-2. Now, with a solid foothold in Georgia, we've added a midterm rental, a long-term rental, and we're in the process of adding another to our portfolio while playing an active role as a private money lender on multiple deals. And trust us, this is just the beginning. So buckle up, we're diving into the amazing world of creative real estate investing, sharing insights, strategies, and stories that will inspire, educate, and entertain.
Let's build wealth, break barriers, and take this journey to tremendous levels together. Today's guest is a master connector, a private lender, and a creative finance expert who has built his brand around one powerful concept: connecting people to opportunities that change lives, whether it's matching investors with high-level deals, securing funding for real estate and business transactions, or teaching entrepreneurs how to build their own connector business. He has become the go-to expert and in the art and science of deal making. His expertise in private lending, creative finance, and capital raising, personally mentored by industry giants like Pace Morby and Abraham Gray, has helped thousands of investors like us and real estate agents acquire real estate without using their own money or credit through strategies like subject to, seller financing, and novation agreements. His ability to turn no's and yeses and structure deals that others overlook has made him one of the most sought after educators and deal architects in the space. Whether he's structuring creative deals, building strategic partnerships, or mentoring others on the power of connecting, one thing is clear: when you have Mr. Charger in your corner, you're a step closer to unlocking the opportunities you've been searching for. Let's give a high energy, charged up, and welcome to today's guest, Mr. Eddy Charger.
What's up, my favorite people? How are you, ladies?
We're fine, we're fine.
We're so excited to be here with you, Eddy.
Oh my gosh, you have no idea how excited I am. I have been working hard and I've been getting asked left and right, hey, can you join? Can you do our podcast? We'd love to interview. And I was like, nope, you gotta wait because I got these two sisters. They're gonna kick off 2025. It has to be this way. So I am honored to be here as one of your guests. I thoroughly believe in you guys and your podcast and what it stands for. It's like home. It's family to me. So I'm super excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome to come. So here, what we wanted to actually talk to you about is we wanted to get to know you, get to know, your experience. We want to know, your journey. How did you start in this real estate environment? And, give us a little bit about your background as where you're from and all of that kind of stuff.
For sure, for sure. So when I started in real estate, it actually started the opposite. Like I was never really, you know how some people have that story of like, ever since I was young, I wanted to get into real estate or have family. I didn't have any of that, right? I didn't have any family that was in real estate. When I saw real estate on TV, it was boring to me. None of that excited me. But money excited me, right? I was your regular average kid that grew up in the hood to immigrant parents. My parents came from Haiti, and they understood one thing and one thing only, and that was the art of the hustle, the art of surviving. And I just knew I didn't want to live like that, right? And I knew my parents sacrificed enough to put me and my two other siblings in a position where we could do something different, right? And so for me, it was important to figure out, how do I get money? How do I earn income? And, you know, I grew up in a environment that there was opportunities to earn income, right? You could work as a street pharmacist, not a lot of benefits there, right? No health care, and also you can end up in jail for a long time. So
Yeah, you
that
could.
wasn't a good thing. And also, you know, being the son of immigrant parents, we were afraid of our parents more than we were afraid of the cops, right? It was just like, cops could be coming by, and it was like, oh, that's fine. But if my mom and dad was driving down the block, it was like, all right, I gotta go. I'm not, I'm not dealing with this. So that was a no-brainer there for me. And then business, right? I always saw business people, but I didn't know any business people, legal business entrepreneurs, I should say, right? And so, I was like, well, what's left? Tried and true is either I was going to become a lawyer or I was going to become a doctor. And even though I've had people tell me all the time that, you would have been a good lawyer. You like to argue and you like to talk and
Yeah.
right, But I was like, you know what? I think I like the idea of medicine because I can help people. And so I went to school. I actually graduated from high school and went to Temple University to become a pharmacist. And I was the I was a freshman and the youngest to ever work at Temple University Hospital in the pharmacy department. And I was clear line, ready to be a pharmacist. And what happened one day is Temple University is a little bit different. Their pharmacy department is in the hospital itself. And so patients would come from seeing their doctors and doing et cetera, and they would just come downstairs to be able to get their medicine that's prescribed. And I had this old lady, could have been my grandma. She came down the steps. She just had chemo done. She was battling cancer. And she came down the steps and was like, I want to get my medicine to go home. So my heart felt for her, right? This is tough. She didn't have no family with her. She didn't have any support. So I take her script, I go to fill it out, and eventually what ended up happening is she didn't get approved. She couldn't get the medicine. And I went back to my head pharmacist at the time. He was a African American. He was one of the only African Americans to ever be head pharmacist over there at the time. And so I looked up to this man a lot, right? I saw a lot of inspiration through him. And I said, listen, I know there's red tapes and loopholes and all the things. What can we do so that I can get this lady some medicine? Because I didn't feel comfortable at my young age going to tell her, you can't get your medicine, and send her home. Mm-hmm. And he sat me down and he said, this is how this game is played. Mm. Oh my it don't matter how sick a person is, if they don't have money and they don't have insurance, they can't get the medicine. And if you give her medicine, you're liable to go to jail or lose your job. Right. And at that moment, what I realized was this is not how I wanted to make money, because everything that I wanted to do, I wanted to be tied to helping and serving other people, right? My mom, when I was 17, 18 years old, my last 2 years of high school, My mom tricked me. She was like, hey, I want to start this business. A couple of my friends are in it, but I don't speak English well. Can you just come along and translate for me? So I'm like, okay, well, let's do it. I always want to encourage my mom. I'm a mama's boy. So whatever she wants, we doing it, right? Well, little did I know, my mom didn't do anything in the business. She just walked away. I was doing everything in the business. I didn't do translating. I literally took over her business and was working her business for her. And it was a network marketing company. Okay. And so at a young age, I was listening to Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and some of these heavy guys. This was back when, some of your listeners probably won't know what I'm talking about, but there was a thing called a cassette tape, okay? And they used to put it in a player in order to be able to hear information, music and such. So I remember listening to Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn said, if you help many people get what they want, you will get everything that you want. And so I took that to heart. And when I was sitting there in this head pharmacist's office, and I realized that I couldn't help people in order to make money, I would have to turn people away. It just didn't sit right with me. And I said, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to go all the way in. And I got involved in business. And fast forward, from then on, I started a couple businesses, had some a business with my cousin that did very well. I got back into network marketing. I did very well in there. And then I got to a point where I was fairly successful, built a name for myself. And I was like, okay, I have this money now. What do I do with it, right? I don't just want to keep spending money. It just didn't seem what you should be doing, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was like, all right, well, what do rich people do with money? And I literally Googled this. I said, what do rich people do with money? And a couple of things came up. Stocks, they invest in stocks. Mm-hmm. I Googled it, yeah, and they invest in real estate. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I like stocks. I think I can do stocks. So I get started in the stock market. I actually started day trading stocks. And I killed it. Even I was surprised. Like, even to this day, I'm still shocked at how good I was. Like, I was killing it. I went 6, 7, 8 months, all profits. And it was just like, oh, I should have been doing this from the beginning. And then I don't know what happened. I went like 6, 7, 8 more months, and I was losing money so fast. It was, it was great. It was almost like I would open up the window and I would just throw money out the window and then close the window, right? And I was like, you know what? This isn't how I really want to invest my money, right? Let me go back to Google and see what's the other thing they say? Oh, that's right, real estate. I was like, let me do some real estate. So I looked up real estate, and at the time, there was a gentleman that was in North Carolina. And he was posting videos on YouTube. Now, this is before everything. There wasn't a lot of people that were posting. There was 3 main people. One guy was Chinese. One was an older black guy. He was down in Alabama. And this other guy was in North Carolina. He was my age. He had a beard. I have a beard. I was like, I connect with this guy. Let me see what he's looking at. And he was showing how he made 6 figures wholesaling properties. And at the time, I was like, what is wholesaling? How do you wholesale a property? And he opened up my mind and my world to real estate and what wholesaling is. And it was crazy because I've wholesaled before with other products. My other businesses, we were buying wholesale. When I was working with my parents, at one point we had we used to sell, and we used to go to New York, purchase merchandise, wholesale, and we would go to Philadelphia and sell it retail. We were wholesaling, right? And so I was like, I didn't know you could do this with real estate. And that's what changed everything. I flew out to North Carolina, went to this big seminar, came back with a real estate partner, and we built a 6-figure real estate company. And that was the start of everything for me.
Wow. Damn.
That's amazing.
How long ago was that? How long ago was that?
I mean, compared to everybody else, I'm actually considered a baby in real estate. This is my 5th year in real estate.
Are you serious?
So that was only 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I've learned is, I was able to cut my learning curve by making sure that I had people who were around me that were way better than me, right? Like they were so more advanced. You know, they've been doing this for, 20, 30 years. And so when I was brand new and I'm learning from these guys, it shortened my learning curve by so much, right? And that's one of the things that I try to tell people all the time. Like if you're going to get started in the space, get started with people who are way past you and just have a servant heart, right? So when I got back to Atlanta and I decided, like, you know what, I'm going to actually start my own wholesaling company. I want to do it by myself. There was a guy that was on a podcast. His name is Brandon. I won't say his last name because I don't know if he wants his business out here like that. But at the time, he had said, I was making $1 million a month doing wholesale. And I was like, whoa. I said,
Right?
I need to get with this guy right now. So I skip traced him. I skip traced the guy, got his phone number, called him up, and I said, listen, you don't know me. My name is Eddy Charger. I heard you on a podcast, and I just want you to know I want to learn from you. I will babysit your kids. I will wash your dishes. I will cut the grass, and I will work for you in your business for free if you just teach me what you're doing.
Yes.
And at the time, he stayed in Stone Mountain, and I was living in Douglasville, which was an hour drive back and forth. And I went there every single day and learned how to do wholesaling as a business because I knew I needed to get to the next level, and I wanted to do that with someone who was, again, find people who are way ahead of you
Right.
and serve, right? Like anything he told me to do, I was doing it, right? He wanted me to make calls 6 hours a day. I was making calls 7. He needed me to go run, take pictures at a house. I would take pictures and video. Like whatever he needed to do, I would do it and then some because I was learning for free. You know what I mean? Like think about it. Like, you know how much money, I mean, I know you guys know because you guys have spent as much money as I have. And, we're lucky. We've gotten connected with some amazing communities, and that's been a blessing. But there are people who, haven't found the type of mentorships and communities that we're part of, and they spent way more than us. Like I've met people who spent 60, 70, 90 grand on education and never bought a house. Not a rental, not a fix-a-flip, nothing. No community, no anything. So, yeah. So your environment is huge. It's one of the biggest indicators of your success.
Yeah.
Which brings us to how did you come across Pace and Sub 2?
Yeah. So interesting enough, I actually, even though I live here in Atlanta, Georgia, I spent a lot of time in Arizona via the internet. I got connected with there's a guy named Tom Kroll, who for those who don't know, Tom Kroll is actually one of the creators, he was the creator of Wholesaling Inc. And so, but at the time when I was listening to Tom Kroll, he was on a podcast with his brother. He has a half brother or something like that who was doing real estate, and Tom was about to lose his house. He was about to get kicked out of his house, and he called his brother, who was already successful doing wholesaling on the West Coast, and he says, please help me. And his brother, in his wisdom, said, I'll help you, but you have to do exactly what I tell you to do, how I tell you to do it, and you have to record our session. And if you don't do exactly what I tell you to do, how I tell you to do it, the following week, I'm not answering your phone call. And he recorded these sessions and he uploaded it as a podcast. So I'm listening to this guy, Tom Kroll. Now, I love Tom. He's an amazing human being. But I'm listening to Tom and I'm like, ain't no way this man is killing it in this business. Because some of the stuff that he was asking, even I was just like, what? How do you not know this? Like, what? He made it so simple. He made it so simple. And so I immediately got connected with Tom Kroll, who at the time was in Florida. But because of Tom, he connected me to a gentleman that most people know, which is Brent Daniels, TTP. See, Brent Daniels joined Wholesaling Inc. because he was door knocking and he was an agent and he wanted to be able to do more business and he heard about Tom Crow. So he joins and he realized, hey, we can do the same thing but start calling people. So I start learning from Brent Daniels, learned how to do TTP, mastered that, and then Brent Daniels introduced me to Steve Trang. Steve Trang taught me how to be better in my sales, and he started teaching me, him and a gentleman by the name of David Day. I learned raising private money this way through them. They had a course that I learned through, and Steve Trang started to do a podcast. Who pops up on the podcast? Jamil Danji. So Jamil is on the podcast, and now I'm an astro flipper. I'm learning what's this astro flipping thing? I'm doing it. I'm getting it down. And I keep hearing about Jamil's best friend, but I still don't know who he is. Just some guy named Race. I was like, okay, he got a guy named Race that's his best friend. Cool. And then Steve Tran says, hey, I'm going to have a good friend of mine on. He's best friends with Jamil Danji. His name is Pace Morby. I said, oh, Pace. This whole time I was calling the guy Race. His name is Pace Morby. And Pace gets on there, and that changed everything for me. I actually remember I was driving down the highway. I was watching the podcast, and he was explaining certain things, and I was like, you ever hear something and it just clicks, and you know at that moment nothing will ever be the same for you, right? Like you just know, like because I now have this information, nothing will ever be the same. And that's what happened. Pace talked about acquiring properties using creative financing and how he was doing so many deals that people just couldn't do because they didn't understand how to do it, and they were literally walking away from these type of deals. I'm talking about investors, agents, brokers, and it opened up a blue ocean for me, right? It was like, this is a lane that not a lot of people is in, and I understand it, and so I'm gonna kill it. And that's how I got into the world of Pace, and then a couple of months later, he started Sub 2. And I became one of the first 100 people to join Sub 2 because I was like, whatever you do, I'm there, I'm doing it, right? So he started Sub 2. He told me, he was talking to a few of us about what he was going to do with the Gator. I joined that. It was like, listen, whatever you're doing, I'm part of it because two important things. One, there was a lot of things that aligned between us, but the main things was he also had that principle that I talked about earlier. He believes in helping people, and if you help enough people, you can get everything that you want. Yeah. And that's something that I live by, and that's one of the reasons why we connected so well.
Absolutely. That's why we connected to you because, from the moment we met you, we knew that you were, you're there to help people. And that's what I love about you. So I'm happy that we are, I think of you as, Tracey thinks that she tells my mom, one of Roni's boyfriends, I think of you as a very special person. I'll do anything for you to help you in any way that I can. I've learned so much from you.
I appreciate that.
Eddy,
good. And there's so much more to grow, right?
Mm-hmm. Everything we're doing in our journey, in everything, we always say we have to bring Eddy into this.
Yeah.
So that's why we're so honored that you're joining us, because this is our first podcast. You had to be number one.
You had to be number one.
I love it. And you know what? I can't wait. I can't wait for you guys to get to your 50th podcast and your 100th anniversary podcast and to come back and just come hang out with you guys and talk about the growth and the changes and all the great things that you guys are doing. I'm excited.
We can't wait either. More on you though. Tell us about your businesses.
Yes.
Like what is capital investment pod and the Better Human, Better Entrepreneur. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So thank you. So, at heart, what I realize is that I'm a connector, right? And I actually had a hard time coming to grasp with that because, well, what the hell is a connector, right? Like when if I'm talking to somebody and they say, what do you do? And I say, oh, I'm an investor. You kind of know, oh, okay, cool. What kind of things you invest in, et cetera, et cetera. However, if you ask me, what do I do? And I say, I'm a connector, you go, okay. And then you walk away because you're like, well, I don't even know what that is. He connects stuff. What does that mean? And it was hard for me to understand just how much value a connector gives, right? And so when I understood that after having a conversation with one of my mentors, it was like, okay, this is it, right? And so ever since then, I really have like taken on that persona because it's who I am. I just did not know how to define it. And in reality, what a connector does is a connector is someone that can help bring two parties together to be able to solve their problem. Because, for the most part, somebody has something that somebody else wants. Mm-hmm. But because of the world that we live in now, like technology, and there's so much distraction, and even though we're connected, but we're not really making connections. And a connector is a master connect. That's what they do. Like, I find out what people are looking for, what people need, and I also connect those individuals. And because of that connection, I'm also able to make money from that. And that's how I started my lending company, right? I was doing a bunch of deals. I started selling deals to other investors, and they were saying, hey, do you know anybody who can help fund this? Can you fund my deal? And I ran out of money, right? That's the number one problem most lenders have. At some point, you're going to run out of, I know you guys lend on deals. At one point, you guys run out of money and you was like, call me back next week. We'll have more money, right? It was like, okay, cool. I know a guy who has a $10 million fund. I called him up one day and say, I got this deal. Do you want to jump in? He's like, bro, I'm tapped out.
Tapped out.
It's like, you got $10 million. How you tapped out? That's the thing. When you're a lender, that's your number one problem, right? And so that was something that happened, and it made me realize there's a space for me to be a connector here. And so I help people in my capital investment pod have two types of scenarios that take place. The first is people have money and they're like, listen, I don't connect to as many people as you do, right? You know, hundreds upon hundreds of people. You have people sending you deals. You have a team that vet these deals and et cetera. Can I just get with you and tell you how much I have, how much I want to invest, what kind of return do I want, and can you bring me vetted deals? So that's the connection piece that I make with those individuals, right? I help them find strong investments that are backed by real estate so that they can invest their money and make return. Instead of it just staying in the bank, they're able to make some money each and every month. Then I have other investors who are the opposite. They are like, I have a young lady. She's brought this is her fourth commercial property she's looking to purchase now. She needs to raise $237,000 to handle the gap in the funding. It's a commercial property. There's a school that's already there that's paying their monthly rent. The cash flow is there and everything. However, she needs access to the money. Where was she getting money from? Well, her friends and family. But they funded their first 3 deals. So now she needs more money. She needs more money. She has a problem. And so she comes to me and says, hey, can you help me find a solution? Can you help me find money? And so I help. That's the second way that I help in my lending company. People bring me deals that they have and they need a certain amount of dollar raised. And I help raise those funds through private money lending so that they can be able to acquire their property. And now it's a full-fledged thing. We do that with businesses. People have businesses that they're looking to purchase. We help them get funding to be able to buy their businesses. We work with the SBA loans to be able to help them as well. And then we also have where, people are looking to invest and make money in deals, and we can help them do that. So that's what the Capital Investment Pod does. We make the connections between people who have money and people who have deals, and make it a happy marriage. I always like to say I make it a win-win-win, right? The lender wins, I win, and the investor wins. And that's always going to be the case.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Well.
And so that's That's one of the things when it comes to being a connector in the lending space. That's my main thing. Now, obviously, real estate's the same thing, right? Like technically, if you're wholesaling, you're a connector, right? We don't think about it that way, but that's essentially
Yeah,
what
That's
you
right.
are, right? So I'm a connector as a wholesaler. I'm a connector as a lender, and of course now we're buying properties. So we're doing a lot. I know you guys. We're currently still looking for a deal now that I'm pretty sure we'll close on pretty soon. That we'll do a co-living together on. Right. That's something that we're big on doing co-living and midterm rentals to kind of help with this affordable housing problem because that's not a problem the government's going to solve, nor should we look for the government to solve it. It's a problem that we as investors and entrepreneurs, we should solve, and we can solve it, and that this is what we're doing to bring that together, right? And so that's the business side. The better human, better entrepreneur, that's my, it started as a project that I wanted to work to better myself, right? I'm heavy into personal development. And I thought to myself, okay, what can I do in order to become, that type of entrepreneur that I'm looking and I'm aspiring to become, right? Like what has to be true? And even though there was a lot of business things I can study, the reality is in order for you to get to that next level, you have to become a better human being, right? There's this principle-based things as a human being you need to develop so that you can become a better entrepreneur. And a lot of times I think people are missing that. People are thinking, I need to be a better entrepreneur. And so they go learn all these skill sets and they still trying to figure out, well, why can't I succeed still? Well, because you're missing the foundation, right? Like some people don't live by their calendar and they think that's a business thing. No, that's a better human thing. Like you're not organized in your life. How can you be organized to run a $1 million company? You can't, right? If you don't have the right mindset, how can you solve other people's problems as a business owner? Because that's all a business owner is. A business owner is someone who has decided to pick a business that can solve a particular set of problems for a certain group of people,
That's right.
right? And so that's what Better Human, Better Entrepreneur is. It's a program that helps people rebrand their thinking and to be able to do the things necessary in order for them to get to that next level that's going to make their business 10x.
That's
That's
fantastic.
awesome. So, Eddie, where do you see yourself about 5 years from now?
Great answer. Great question. My answer 5 years from now is I will still be doing this. I love real estate. More than likely, I probably, if we're not starting it, we'll probably have a private equity company where everything is just under the one umbrella, where we're buying properties, we're lending money, and we're also buying businesses. And then, my kids are young, right? And so within the next 5 years or so, I want to be able to have said that I've traveled the world with them and we've done businesses and we're doing a bunch of things together because I won't get another time to do this with them, right? At one point in time, they'll be, 18, 19, 20, and I'd be like, hey, let's hang out. And they're like, no, I'm going to go hang with my friends. And I'll be like, oh, so
Making
No,
them.
that's
we've
very
been there.
important for me to kind of,
We're going through
yeah,
that right
yeah.
now.
See, you see what I'm saying? So,
So,
man,
yeah.
I get it. I get it. So for me, it's important to build now so that, I can in turn have something that, my kids and I and my wife, we can share these memories. And then, hopefully I've built something that they would want to be around, right? They want to bring their friends to and they want to hang out over here, because we've built that environment. Not about the stuff that we buy or the house that we live in, but the environment that we've cultured, right? By being better humans, better entrepreneurs.
Entrepreneurs.
What I've seen, I've been to a few of the meetups that you have, and I've seen you bring your kids there. And I'm, always impressed because I know that you're setting such a great example for them to see you speak, and you are an amazing speaker. And I just think, wow, it's
Thank you.
amazing to see that. Yeah.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, yeah. It's something that was very important to me in the beginning to make sure that I led by example, right? Like I've met several parents in this space who tell me like, hey, I would love to come to the meetups that you do, and I would love to do this business or do that, but I have kids and my schedule and this, that, and third, right? And so I'm always like, bring your kids, right? Your kids should be involved in this. Your kids should see what it takes to get to the levels that you're trying to get to. Because if not, you will be successful, because I'm going to make sure you're successful. I'm going to help you. I'm going to push you. The problem is your kids are not going to understand what it really took for you to get there.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for example, my kids see my schedule, right? Every Sunday we have so I wake up early on Sundays and I have my own meeting. I go over my business stuff. I run everything. I do that for about 3 hours. And then my wife comes in. We have about an hour that we set aside, and we plan out our week. We plan out, what's some of the good things that happen? What are the bad things? How do you need support this week? What's our, because it's a business meeting, right? So what's our net worth look like? What changes do we need to make? What investments are we going to do? We go over everything, right? Yeah. And then we bring in our kids for like the last 15 minutes, because their attention span is just not there. So we bring in. All right, we bring in our kids and we show them the calendar. Here's all of our stuff. Here's daddy's meetings. Here's mommy's meetings. Here's your school time. Here's your soccer practice time. Here's gymnastics time for you. And then we start talking about their week and what they want. And what do you want to do? And what trips do you want to take this year? Okay, where can we plan that? Where can we put that on the calendar? And so now when I'm out and I'm doing the things and I get them to come along, they see the full picture of what it takes to build the lifestyle that we're looking to build, right? And it plants a seed into them that makes them understand, well, if I want this, then I actually have to do this too, right? I have to be able to put in the work, because mommy and daddy didn't just get this for free.
That's
You know what I mean? And as much as I love my kids, I'm not giving my kids crap. You know what I mean? Like, they got to work for everything that they get, right? Because I don't want to spoil them in a negative way just because I didn't have these things, right? Now, of course, they'll be well taken care of and et cetera, but I want them to fall in love with putting in the work.
For it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us today. Where can people reach out to you, get in touch with you? What's your Instagram handle? How can people connect?
Yes, for sure. So you can find me on all platforms, Eddy, Eddy Charger, Charger. And there you can get my links that sends you over to Capital Investment Pod, or you can find us on YouTube, Better Human, Better Entrepreneur. I'm everywhere. If you just type in my name, you'll find me. I make it my business not to be hard to find.
Yes.
That's lovely. Oh, Eddy, thank you. This was wonderful.
Oh, no problem. Thank you guys. I am so proud of you guys. I gotta say it. What you guys are doing for the community, for people who want to get into real estate space. I mean, you're just exposing them to something that they didn't think was possible. And I can't tell you how proud I am of you guys, because I don't have enough words. I am so excited for this future of this podcast. It's going to be an amazing thing. If you guys keep at it, I'll buy you a whole studio. We'll just do a whole studio just for you guys, because this is so important. And the thing about it I think is important is not just the fact that you guys are sisters, but you speak to a group of people who sometimes get forgotten and they're not being spoken to, right? And so I love what you guys are doing. I told you this before, but I wanted to make sure I say it on air. You guys are amazing. This is going to be so impactful to so many people. Thank you. And I'm honored to have been the first guest.
Thank you.
Thank you, Eddy.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on our very first podcast. We look forward to reaching out again and follow us, share, and come back. We're going to be covering topics like, how do you make it, coming from a different country? How do you make it in real estate? We're going to be covering topics about co-living, about setting up your own hotel, because we have a master at it over here. So join
Yes,
us.
yes.
We're looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Eddie.
Peace.